Hey, how you doing?
Great. So good to be here.
Hey, I'm still getting like some the music that's still going.
Oh, okay. I don't hear it anymore, but it's a great intro.
That is so weird. Okay, now can you hear me?
Yeah, I still hear you.
Okay, sorry everybody. I had my YouTube link up as we were going here, and it was like playing the music as we were doing it at the same time. So now the echo is gone. So we will
Yeah,
rewind
I
that
can
and do
hear
that again. Welcome everybody to
it.
this awesome webinar with between strIQ and
Mhm.
Don Asher with the Olive Jar. Thank you for being here. We've got some fun stuff for you guys today.
Yeah, sure do.
Um, so Don, I'll just do a quick intro of myself, and then I'll let you take over and do an intro. And so everyone, I'm Matt Sanderson. I'm the founder and CEO of strIQ. We help you find and evaluate profitable properties to invest in short-term rentals. So if you're trying to do that, come check us out at strIQ. And Dawn, you want to give us a little feedback of yourself before
Yeah,
we dive into this?
sure. Yeah, hey, I'm Dawn at the Olive Jar. We are an experiential uh, marketing studio specializing in STR, experiential marketing, which means that we're providing a whole picture approach between design, amenities, and media content creation to actually design a co-creative experience with your traveler, one that gives them ownership over the experience, something that's truly engaging, invitational to interact in your stay, whether they've been there or not, right? So that's a lot of what I'm always preaching out here in this industry. We serve short-term rental hosts seeking to imaginatively grow their audiences and reinvent those rentals, right? So it's I would say we're niche within the niche, but I do think that this should really be standard practice to be thinking about your property as a whole picture marketing machine from a very interactive, engaging standpoint. At the end of the day, I'm really serving overwhelmed hosts learn how to scale their STR businesses without losing their personal touch. So that's a little bit about the Olive Jar and myself.
Awesome.
Mhm.
So, guys, as we dive into this today, we're going to be really diving into one word, and that is experiences.
Mhm.
And Don will really dive into that and flesh that out more, and how that can drive way more revenue for you
Mhm.
with your properties. I've experienced that personally for my properties, and then obviously running a data company, I see the data behind it, and working with a lot of you out there. There is enormous differences in revenue opportunity if you take to heart the things that Don is going to be saying today, because I mean, you could be making thousands of dollars more per year, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars per year more, if you implement these things. And so excited to dive into this. So let's
Yeah.
dive into it. Dawn, take it away.
That's great. Yeah. Hey, if you want to as well, comments can be dropped on the side here. Tell me kind of where you're coming from. Maybe not so much where you reside, but where your properties are, maybe one of your favorites. Go ahead and drop in where you're coming from, so I kind of know some geography here. But yeah, thank you for the intro, Matt. Thank you again for the opportunity to be here. And it's just really exciting to see how you guys are growing and the impact you're making. There's nothing else like you guys out there. So
Well, thank you.
I'm loving it. Yeah. Today, we are going to talk about that experience, and we're talking about it through the lens of the interactive components of your stay. So, and how it's really actually backed by science, right? How the interactive stays begin with your hospitality, but why it works, right? Why it actually creates a strong emotional connection with your traveler. We're going to get to know, this is going to be a small introduction to how your traveler is actually considered the hero of your story-driven stay, and how you should be looking at them as the hero of your story-driven stay. And then last but not least, this is all tied into what I'm going to be talking about today. There is a real practical and applicable way to kind of assess, like, where are you at on the spectrum when it comes to your experiential hosting style. So the 4 experiential marketing strategies that I'm going to be walking us through that are actually neurologically driven, you will actually be able to pop into our hosting quiz and identify where your strengths and maybe some of your weaknesses are, but how you are showing up for your guests currently, or how you'd like to be showing up for them more through these 4 different strategies, right? So that's a little bit of what you will get today. What is experiential marketing? And I'm actually going to roll that back for a second. What's marketing? I think that it can be extremely overwhelming. I get overwhelmed by it myself with my own business. It's not like I like magically just like poof, make everything happen in a second just because I'm an expert at this, right? It's a lot of work. But when I pull back the layers, right? Marketing, just for today, think of it this way. It is making a personal connection. It's your personal touch. So when we think about experiential marketing, we're talking about a real connection. And experiential marketing is not just something that, we're doing here in the STR market. This is done across the biggest brands in the world, right? Down to the smallest mom and pop shops. Those who are actually engaging with personalized, customized experiences, even mini experiences within, their shop, right? That's experiential marketing, because what they're doing is they're inviting and engaging their audience, their customer, your traveler, into co-creating the product or service you offer. That's why pop-up experiences have become, obviously there was a big lull in the pandemic, but that's why pop-up experiences are so effective, because travelers, or I should just say consumers, if we're talking about brands, consumers are showing up and truly actually living in the immersive environment of a brand without the brand saying, buy this, buy this, buy this, right? They're getting them hooked onto and immersed in the essence of the brand to the point that it becomes personal to them, right? So experiential marketing is what I say, actually build your brand loyalty, which means boost your bookings, drives organic buzz. We'll get into a lot of this later in terms of the impact, but ultimately this is about building brand loyalty, because you're not just in it for a one-night booking, right? So when we talk about guest loyalty, what does that mean? Well, travelers are really seeking an interactive experience, not just spaces. And I'll go farther than that. We're living in the transformation age right now. Travelers are actually looking for transformative experiences. They want to be co-creators of their own story, right? It's not just yelping about something, it's living it. It's actually living an experience that they have co-created with the brand, with you, in your property that you've offered. That co-creation actually sparks belonging in your brand. Now they have a sense of attachment to it, and especially when done effectively, when your values are aligning with their values, of course, they will be more likely to want to belong in your brand. And belonging becomes these repeat bookings, referrals, and long-time loyalty. Now, there are brands, by the way, STR brands, that I've been following for years, and I've never once been able to stay in their property because life. I've got a bucket list. I've got my own bucket list, right? I've been to so many places. I've said the same things. Oh my gosh, I'm coming back next year. Like it's all there. But the reality is I have so many other things on my bucket list, and life happens, plans change. But some of those brands I continue to share out with others, and I continue to just sort of draw inspiration from, even if I'm not ever going to step foot in their property. So that sort of what I would call even like outer circle loyalty is just as powerful as someone who's actually going to stay in your property, because, in today's age, like just word of mouth is so key, right? So I just want you to be thinking as we walk through this about the ultimate goal here is loyalty. It's not just an overnight stay, right? So the challenge is, there's the market. The competition, that word that everyone loves, like dropping saturation, oversaturation, all of that, scattered attention. There's so much out there. There are also standards. They're like entry level, professional photos, SEO rich, booking sites and all of that. And what, Matt has probably taught you through strIQ, like just having certain amenities alone, these are standards. And yes, there's data, but also how do you actually capture those hearts? How do you actually provide a personal touch, even if it's not something you are personally creating yourselves? The personal touch comes through in the intentionality they feel. So that's the big question. How do you capture those hearts with that intentionality? So today we're going to reframe. It's transformation over transaction. You're going to rethink this. Think like a media company. Okay. Media companies are storytellers, right? That's why you go back to your favorite shows. That's why you finish the first season and you're like, what? It's going to be another 2 years till another season comes out. So frustrating, but you're so hooked that by the time it comes out, if you've been following, their shooting schedule or whatever, or like following those actors or whatever, you're still immersed in that world, right? So these media companies, even with the long stretch between seasons, they are brilliant at maintaining connection and brilliant at maintaining that fandom, and then last but not least, we're going to start storytelling. So we're going to step into the hero's journey. So I say there are 3 compelling influences that really create an interactive stay that builds brand loyalty. Number 1, it's novelty, unique experiences. We could talk about this till we're all blue in the face, right? What do you offer that's unlike anyone else, or just unlike your neighbor, right? Number 2, it's story. Traveler is the hero. What role does your rental play in their hero's journey? I know we talk about a storied stay, and you've probably heard this language now used quite a bit. Your stay has a story. Absolutely. This is the work we're doing with our clients. The very beginning of our work, by the way, is not just jumping in design. We actually start with an entire storytelling guide. So think of a branding guide, what you'd have with aesthetics, color palette, basically, essentially like who's your guest avatar, all of those things. But we are actually building it from the standpoint, from a POV of storytelling, so that we're really speaking to your ideal traveler, your ideal guest, because they're the hero. You're the hero, but they're really the hero. And so your stay may have a story, but they've got a story that we need to pay attention to even more within yours.
Hey,
And then,
Dawn, have you ever
yeah,
heard of the lady that is doing like the Idaho potato
no.
that has literally like this huge potato that she just turned into an Airbnb in Idaho, and it's like out in the middle
Oh,
of nowhere in a field,
yes.
but like people are like drooling over this potato to like go stay there and pay premium rates, but it's this like
Oh my
story
gosh.
behind it of why they like
Yes.
want to go there.
Yep. Yeah. That is
So,
so cool. I love that stuff.
isn't that
And
funny?
it does. Yes. And then it also tells me too, I'm like, there is an audience for anything. There's a niche audience for anything. I was, when I started out, I haven't even really shared this, but I started in marketing first in the trailer business, working in literally film trailers, writing and producing film trailers. So I learned how to tell a story very quickly within 2 minutes, even if the movie wasn't good, which is why I left that industry. But I eventually got into event design, filmmaking myself, original filmmaking, and what I found along the way is that when you're thinking about an audience, they're just no audience is like one dimensional. And in the experiential marketing work that I was doing for brands and organizations, I was just like, oh my gosh, there's a whole community out there that loves football and crocheting. I'm not kidding you. And
Hmm.
they are very connected. It's like there is a presence, there is a community of football fans who crochet. And I feel bad saying this, it may be knitting, because I know those are 2 different things. So I don't want to offend anyone here.
Yep. Yep.
But anyway, so it's so interesting. So I imagine her story, going back to this potato lady, her
Well,
story is a nerve, you know?
well, now that I know that football and crocheting are related, I
Yeah.
might need to add some knitting, crocheting
Yes,
experiences to my
totally.
Airbnb in College
You do.
Station. Might be
Yes.
juice it up. So anyway, we might have to get to
There
that
you go.
later.
You need a knitting corner. What, I mean, why
No
haven't
lie.
you
It
thought
sounds
of
like
any
I
of
do.
that? Cool. And then the final key compelling, factor or pillar that I say, influences, buying decisions and booking decisions is the invitation. It's the open door to connect. How do you make them feel welcome, included, and that, like I said earlier, that belonging? All right. So speaking of story, I'm going to just give you a quick example of how we articulate this sometimes with our brands. There's just always some type of, whether it's like a line or a question we're asking. For the LJ Olive, that's one of our properties up in North Georgia, and it's our personal property. It's called the LJ Olive. LJ is a small mountain town in North Georgia, and my story is a bit, with this whole place. So I won't get into it, but we say when life hands you a lemon, make a charcuterie board. So what are some words that might, be pulled out from a statement like that? Well, you could say, oh, positivity. Oh, hope. Oh, how about celebration? So we have run with, notes of celebration within the home. And so we're constantly repeating that theme throughout small touches in the home. Artwork. We actually have a celebration basket. It's a bin where guests can actually come and discover this. This isn't something that we like actually advertise. They discover along the way, oh, there's a bin of materials if they ever want to string up some lights, put up some garland, and actually make their own moment of celebration. It doesn't have to be they're there for a huge milestone, right? Small moments can be celebrated too. And then even small touches in our actual design and amenities, look, we don't have a hot tub. We actually don't have a sauna yet. This is all kind of, those things will be added on later and in like another phase for us, but we're starting with details like this. And these little ice cream, these ice cream coops are huge, but also it's not just what we're offering them to put their ice cream in. We actually have a sprinkle bar. Okay. So instead of, or on top of, we have all of our spices, but those are tucked away in a cabinet. Instead, we have a sprinkles bar on display. You see something like that, there's an instant register of celebration, right? So it's in these details, these subtle details. Also, even thinking about, how nature plays into that sense of celebration. There are deer everywhere around our property, all hours of the day. So, a lot of the imagery that we're sharing, actually captures those deer in packs, in their families, because most of the time you're not celebrating on your own, you're celebrating with others, right? So these are all cues that build a story over time, right? So that's just one example. We're going to get into the granular here.
Hey, something I'll bring up
Yeah,
real quick is
please do.
so the founder of Zillow actually helped guide me and our company with strIQ building the Zillow for Airbnb investors. And one thing I'll never forget he mentioned to me was when building a product, and this is on the product side, he said
Hmm.
try to build in these small he called them joyful moments.
Yeah,
And like
I love
building
that.
tech, you don't really think about like
No.
experiences and joyful moments,
Hmm.
but in the
Hmm.
same way, we're humans and we all think
Hmm.
the same, right? And so whether it's
Yeah.
tech or a property,
Hmm.
it's how does it make someone feel? And having these,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be massive moments, but like these small little joyful moments, like the little ice cream bar with sprinkles, like
Right.
that's a joyful moment. And so
Right.
I think that's really cool and interesting and things that don't cost a whole lot either.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And all of those small touches build and they culminate into a whole picture. Right. And so it could be, even if like your guest isn't catching every single detail, even just catching a few will go, it's like small touches go a long way. It's really not just a phrase you can just throw around. It is true. Right.
Yep.
So So I do love that. That's great. When we talk about the hero's journey, we're actually thinking about the hero's journey as a screenwriter would, as a filmmaker would, what you actually see in the movies and the TV that you're watching, right? The best stories have a very clear act 1, act 2, act 3. Okay. And so I'm going to break down, I'm just going to do some quick, like screenwriting 101. Okay. Act 1, and I'm going to put it in traveler terms. Act 1, traveler has a dilemma. Okay. Your character has a dilemma. The opening scene, your character has a dilemma, right? But they find you. It's not until they see what you can offer, the promise, the possibility of what you can offer, that breaks them into act 2, which means they have booked, right? They've booked their stay, and now they are immersed in this getaway to reconnect. And we say, at the Olive Jar, that's what we're doing here. We're designing getaways to reconnect. In a world that is so disconnected. I think that, travelers, I'm one of them, we think that we just want to escape. We think that we just want to escape to get away. But what we're really looking for is we want to get away to reconnect. Once, your traveler has gone through the experience of your property, and they've had their mountain high, they're approaching checkout. What you want your guests to actually feel is like, oh, I just had like one more night. I want just one more night, right? Those are the best vacations, when like you're not leaving like, oh, all right, I'm ready to go, right? You want them to leave with just that sense of like, if only I had a little bit more time here, right? That breaks them into act 3. Your traveler has transformed overnight. They are a new person. They are changed forever until next time, because life, right? One vacation will never solve all of life's problem. Even in our own cabin, I was leaving my cabin. This is like last year. We had flown my daughter out here to take a test to try to get into this school. We were moving to Atlanta, Georgia from the West Coast, and we flew her out, went to get this test done. And she went and did this assessment. And we are leaving my cabin to get to the school tour. Okay. And I'm on this high, like, this has been a great trip so far. We've done what we need to do at the cabin. We've even me and her got to have a really sweet time up there. It was really, really wonderful. And we're driving to the school tour. I have one chance to actually tour this school, and I get a flat tire. And they would not rebook for us. We did not end up in that school. But life happens the second you walk out that door sometimes. And so, people get back to work, they get back to the mundane, they get back to, stress and all of that. So the longevity of your business depends on the longevity of your connectivity with them long after they've checked out. That's actually hospitality. It's caring for them. It's caring for them at a core need place, right? So we're flipping the script from how do I get more bookings to how do I create connection beyond the booking. So we have these 4 key neurochemicals that are at play here that actually drive brand loyalty, and they drive purchasing decisions. Okay. And this is not just STRs. This is like all consumers. 1, dopamine, it's the motivator. That's why whenever, you get a like on your post, you get that heart. Oh my gosh, that feels so good, right? As a host, you get a 5-star review. Oh, that felt so good. All right, I'm ready to keep going. You keep getting those, 3-4-star reviews. I'm kind of doubting that anyone here is at that stage, but when you do, that is extremely discouraging. So there's something about even the 5 stars for a host. It keeps us going, right? Oxytocin, this is the bonding chemical. This is, if you have ever been a mom, this is what your baby actually, finds and gets with you, you get this boost of oxytocin, your baby gets this boost of oxytocin, all by that skin to skin contact. It's the bonding chemical. So this is where like emotion, we'll talk about emotional connection in a second. Hippocampus, this is your memory activation. It's the things that actually, the things that are shown to you that you experience on repeat to actually build memory of them. And then serotonin, this actually has to do with, that sense of belonging. Again, I'm going to keep coming back to it because it's so crucial. I'm so sorry. I thought that I turned on do not disturb. But serotonin is what you need to feel well, right? And this is where those who struggle with depression actually need those boosts of serotonin. That's why interaction, community is so important for working with, with your depression. So I'm going to move us into the first one. So dopamine. We describe the host who uses this experiential strategy around activating, triggering dopamine. We describe that host as the giver. We say an act of kindness is memorable, but a great act of generosity will leave an impact for eternity. And dopamine is that motivation chemical. Like I said, this shows up for guests when you give them surprises, rewards, delightful moments, those little moments of joy. Easter eggs. I don't know if you've ever heard of that term before. Little like gifts that are hidden, within the property that allude to something or whatever. It's like a design component that shows up here. I don't know if you've ever like stayed around Disney World or Disneyland, but there are hidden Mickeys that you can find everywhere, right? Those are little Easter eggs, right? But what's happening there, the feeling you're leaving them with, circling back to what Matt is even talking about, feelings, what the feeler is left with. This is science. I'm not just like, oh, maybe it is this way. This is true. Travelers feel lucky, they feel gratified, and they feel motivated. And so these acts of generosity that you can offer your travelers, what it's doing is it's building in these micro rewards into the journey so that it gives your traveler a boost of motivation all along the way.
Yeah,
So
that's
here's one example. Go
that's
ahead.
really interesting. Real quick,
Yeah.
we've got 5 short-term rentals, and
Mhm.
only in one of them, our College Station property, which is more of that football theme one,
Yeah.
did we decide to do like a gift basket. And
Mm-hmm.
we just thought, like people would probably like that more of like the giving mindset.
Mm-hmm.
But we're like, how do we do this in a cost-effective way? So we were like,
Yep.
let's just get a basket. We got our cleaner to basically get a bag of chips, some
Mm-hmm.
salsa, some nuts or whatever. And then there's a special bottle of wine that's like 11 or 12 bucks that says
Mm-hmm.
the number 12 on it, because A&M's all about like the 12th man. And so it
Yeah.
has that number 12 on it, which is a really
Yes.
fun thing. And then so when they show up, they have a gift basket and a bottle of wine with the number 12 on it for like the 12th man. And I will say, like, we get the best guests and the best raving reviews and the best experiences that they tell us about, all starting with that one thing that they see when they first walk in the door with that
Yeah.
basket there. So, I'll
Yep.
say, like, it's kind of a no-brainer to not do it, but it's nice, like, hearing the
Yeah.
science behind it. I'm like, why am I not doing this for other
Right.
properties,
Right. Well, what's happening there too is that you're giving them something beyond what they expected. And I often actually discourage hosts from putting money into a welcome basket, because most of the time, guests can get snacks anywhere, and you're spending money on something that, may not really leave a bigger impact. But if it's story driven, there's a cue there that takes them deeper into the brand of your property. That's when it crosses over into impact, right?
Mm,
So no wonder, like, yeah, your guests are really drawn to this. It's something unexpected, right?
mhm.
And that's the
Cool.
great thing about rewards. Usually rewards are effective when they are not expected. Rewards are
Mhm.
not effective when they're given as a consolation prize. When you have a disgruntled guest, it just looks like a Band-Aid, right? So put your investment into details, rewards that actually, are more unexpected, and meet them when they're already in a positive space, right?
Mhm.
Well, here's one other example of what I would call a welcome basket, right? I know I've got a basket here in this picture, but this is one of our clients, Oak Haven Bungalow. This is actually a midterm rental, by the way. And this is in an area of Pasadena, California, called Bungalow Heaven. Now, it has one of the highest number of craftsman style bungalow homes per capita in the entire United States. And this is where the craftsman movement began. So in order to put these guests in touch with the architecture, draw, and build an appreciation for the very property they're going to be staying in. This guest, we designed a welcome experience. This guest actually offers a guided tour of the Gamble House. The Gamble House is this huge, humongous house right here. This is not the actual STR that I'm talking that we worked on. This is the midterm rental right here. This is the Gamble House. It is iconic. I've like taken my kids through like field trips there. Okay. And you go on this tour and you actually get to be immersed in the craftsmanship of the architects who designed the Gamble House. And so you learn about why things were built the way they were, both functionally, stylistically, how, spaces were designed to keep people more connected, all of that. That's a welcome basket, right? Without having to ever put anything out. And the guest is then given this tour, by the Gamble House itself. It's not even the host that's doing it. It's actually like a docent, that walks them through. And that is $20, right? Every booking, that's it, $20. And she offers that at booking. So they know they now have this to look forward to within the beginning of their stay, right? So cool. There's a reward they weren't expecting. It's unique. It puts them in touch with the brand. It puts them in touch with the whole experience they will get to then, live in, for the next 30 plus days. So that's I wanted to share that as a great example of getting your travelers a boost of that dopamine.
Yeah. And I like what you said. It's connecting with them even beyond just the booking itself. Because when they book it, it's usually 30 days out in advance or even longer. And so you're able to like get their minds connected to your brand that entire time, even leading up to that, to get them really excited for that moment and then leaving afterwards. Yeah, that's cool.
Exactly. We call those breadcrumbs too. So you're just sprinkling little pieces along the way that build anticipation. So cool. Absolutely. Oxytocin. This host we call the deep feeler. We say emotions are the social currency essential to connectedness, and hosts who embrace that build a loyal following. So like I said, it's the bonding chemical. It's building emotional connection, empathy, meaning. This is you as host. You are giving your guest a sense of empathy. You are giving your guest a sense of meaning in their stay. And when they feel that, when they experience that, they feel seen and they feel nurtured. And the biggest takeaway here is that you need to be embedding emotional cues in every detail. Every space of your home, every room of the home, okay, should have emotional cues that are truly like striking through to the heart, right? So here's an example. This is the Indigo Palm Collective. It's actually multiple properties, 4 properties we've worked on with this host. And what we've done is, and many of the people here in this strIQ community might be experiencing this. Maybe you're scaling. Now, how do I actually like create a cohesive brand among all of these properties, right? They're all so different. How do I create a through line that makes them feel more connected? We are doing that. And we've done that with the Indigo Palm Collective by inserting cues that really offer a sense of restoration. Every property, whether it's for, they're actually all 4 properties actually meet different demographics, different travel sizes, group sizes. But one through line that always runs through is the care and the restorative care they get when they are staying at this property. So for example, this image right here is from the Cozy Cactus. It's for families with infants. This is an entire baby kit that comes with the home. The minute she installed this amenity, updated with this amenity, she was getting bookings. She got feedback saying, I booked this just because of that family kit, right? And it's not just the kit. We ended up building out a sort of like a nursing corner for moms, right? Because if they're with infants, they need to be taken care of as well. So we put this kit out, baby changing pad, all of these things, small details. But they also got to experience that self-care and how we design their own nook of the master bedroom, primary bedroom. There are other details in the other properties. I could go on, but like this one right here, this is a workstation. This is for remote working. This one property called Terra Luz, I'm sorry, the Sun Dune at Palm Springs, getting the mix up, has a great spot for remote working. That is a sand timer, right? So it's already giving guests permission. Take your time, slow down here, right? Notice the details. Even though you're working here, you don't have to rush through. It's not about productivity, right? Here's a cue here. This is actually, this is like on the wall right here. So I did a little zoom in. This is a little postcard with actually a note from the host. So this is Terra Luz, one of the third property. And it gives this sense of connection to travel in itself. And for this property, we actually designed the story around sort of the sense of like traveling through Havana. It's lively, but it's also restoring. There's so many like deep, just really like warm colors. We have the inside of the kitchen and dining and the outside of the pool. I don't even have an image of this. The outside patio, it's completely color drenched in terracotta, like full, like pavement, walls, pergola, everything colored, right? We wanted them to feel this sense of warmth and a cocoon experience, even in the outdoors. And so, small touches like this just go a long way. It continues and it builds that story, right? Any questions there, Matt, by the way? Feel free to interject again on anything.
No, I mean, hey, I love doing these webinars because I just get to learn. And so I'm like, man,
Yeah.
keep bringing it. I mean, this is all really good information because, again, like it's stuff that I felt like I kind of knew, but it's like
Yeah.
good to like hear from you. Like it's
Yeah.
proven, like
Articulate.
it's
Yeah,
very
totally.
factual. And here's some
Yeah.
examples of it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, all of us should be
Yeah.
listening to what you're saying and
Yeah.
incorporating it. And oftentimes it's not building these enormously expensive things. It's the small
Right.
touches, if you can think about that story.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is really meant to I'm articulating for you so that you can then make decisions. Okay, do I invest in this or that? Well, what is this going to actually achieve? Well, it's going to produce oxytocin, right? It's going, so it's knowing, at the end of the day, what's the function of this investment, right? That I'm making in the property. So
Yeah.
then there's the open book host, and this open book host is what really they do really well at memory activation with the hippocampus. So if you are an entrepreneur, you know about the know, like, and trust rule. That familiarity, that that actually like it's about trust building. There's like you create a sense of likability just by showing up. Right now, you don't have to just show up just by being on social media. There's so many other ways of doing that. But we say your traveler's ability to actually trust your brand isn't just built on the image. It's actually the quality of time they spent getting to know you. Okay. And the more that they can get to know you, the more they feel assured, secure, and at ease. So when a problem comes up, the hot tub breaks, you've already done the work. You've already done the work of assuring them, telling them so much about who you are, why you care, why you put the details that you have, that you have into your property, so that they know, oh, she's got me, he's got me. Like, even if, this doesn't get turned back on, you know what, there's just so much else about this stay that just makes it the 5 stars that I wanted, that, they've got me, they're taking care of me. Right. So we want to say here, the biggest takeaway is don't stop, don't keep hiding, stop hiding, be visible, consistent, and overall, most importantly, be human. And Jenny I'm working with a host named Jenny on a property called Camp Ember. This is also part of another line of properties we've done called the Camp Collection. This property right here, these are actually all just like reference images. We're literally in the styling phase right now. We spent the last year on interior design, and now we're actually in styling and amenities. So I've been in it. But Camp Ember is a premier teen destination spot. Okay. So we are breaking the offsite model with this property. Okay. We have designed for Jenny an actual conversation piece. And if I had one in my hand, I just didn't have one printed out in front of me. My bad. But if you can imagine a brochure that's folded up into 8 panels. Okay. This is a conversation piece she is now taking with her to her colleagues in the industry. She actually works in tech. She's high up. She's actually going to be leaving her job next year, hopefully. And she's taking this to people in her industry to actually bring them into the fold of Camp Ember. And so we've designed this piece that not only gives a sense, it's a teaser of what Camp Ember is going to be, but it gives them, there's a point of interaction here. Remember, we've talked about experiential marketing is about creating an interactive stay, right? And an interactive experience of the brand, whether they stay or not. So this QR code actually will lead to, don't try to scan it. It's not going to take you anywhere. It will actually lead viewers holding this in their hands. It'll actually lead them to a quiz, and a quiz that says, hey, what's your ideal offsite agenda, right? And those offsite agenda samples she gives, they're all going to be available to you here at Camp Ember. This right here, status away, this is actually a magic eye puzzle we're getting made. So there's details in here that get people excited and engaged, and getting to know the property and Jenny long before it is even launched, right? So this is just one way that she's getting in front of travelers. This is the backside of it, where we've actually broken down the themes of every room, and the personalities of every room. Because the other question we want to ask is, well, who are you when you are, staying, when you're traveling to your next offsite? What kind of team, experience are you interested in, and who are you? And then I'm going to tie us up here with the social butterfly. The social butterfly is expert at serotonin and actually boosting levels of serotonin. Today's traveler is asking for an invitation to belong. They aren't just booking a stay, they're buying into the life of your brand. And so what's happening here is you're giving them voice, you're giving them belonging, you're giving them community. Travelers here feel included, empowered, and to me, most important of all, significant. We all want to feel significant on this big earth, right? So the takeaway here is you need to be turning your travelers into contributors. How are they contributing to the community of the brand, of the story that you have built? And so this is a client of ours, Jelaine at the Sideline Club. She's got a bunch of other properties as well, from the Nest Collective, but this one's in Florida. She's got a pickleball court, right? And that might be like the first door in, right? That might be like the scroll stopper, but the details that we're actually bringing in to the property, and that she's doing a ton of legwork on social, honestly, around this, is that it's actually about helping her traveler, her ideal traveler, identify with the lifestyle of this property. So she's bringing in and showcasing brands like Element, right? Loombox. This is actually right here. This is actually more of a smaller but significant brand. This is actually a really niche product. It's a travel bag for lacrosse players specifically. So
Wow.
she's constantly posting like motivational, quotes and all of that. But one of the things we did in the property was we designed a wellness bar that actually includes a soda stream, but it's not just any soda stream. We've provided a set of Element, if you like Element, for electrolytes. Well, we designed a whole recipe book to make your own restorative mocktail, because the Sideline Club is always about coming to play, stay, and recover, right? And so these little mocktails are not just for energy. It's not just for, healing, but it's also for entertaining. And it makes that sipping experience through a bubbly that much more exciting and engaging, right? And it's tying them back to a brand. These are travelers who will identify and connect with brands like Element, right? So it brings them into an even larger community that way. So we always circle back to story. This is what we're doing. The reason why is because you can talk all you want, but at the end of the day, it's your traveler who needs to do the talking. The organic buzz is the ROI no one talks about. So my question for you is, what is the story your guest will tell? And so we have, guests talking about this, this family kit, like I talked about. We've had guests who have actually sketched the space into the guest book.
That's awesome.
There's a doggy welcome book that we made where dogs actually write in the guest book. It's the dog guest book, right? So, we're giving travelers ways to really put their mark on that stay, right? So next step for you today, let's have some Q&A. But I really encourage you to take the hosting quiz that we have designed that actually takes you through those 4 experiential hosting styles. Not necessarily calling them out, but seeing, you could probably deduce by the end of it, but the results are, okay, you are an open book host or you are a giver, right? And it'll help you kind of establish, well, this is like where I'm either drawn to, this is what I want to be doing more of, or, oh, wow, this is really where I'm kind of like lacking, right? And this is where I could use some work. So I'm going to drop that. I'm going to make sure I can drop that.
I was going to say, yeah, make sure and
link.
drop that link in the chat because I for sure want to take the quiz. I want to know which one I am.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And you can also just go to my website anytime, but I'll just go ahead and give you the quiz here just directly so you can pop right into it.
Awesome.
And I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, we can move on to.
So here's something I would love to do.
Questions.
Yeah. So I see the link there. Hey, Emily, if you can just take that link and then also post it to YouTube as well so that everyone can see it there. Just to make sure it shows up everywhere. What I want to do, everyone be thinking about questions you want to ask. We already have a few questions that are coming through. Mm-hmm. I teased at the very beginning what the data suggested about the experience word that we had mentioned at the very beginning. And let me actually just show you what that means results wise. So here's all the different comps in Asheville, North Carolina. I know a lot of people are investing there. And what I did is I searched for 6-bedroom properties in Asheville. And then I said, show me the top performers of those 6-bedroom properties and show me the range of revenue for all of those properties. And check this out. So the average results of those 6 bedrooms would mean about $139,000 in revenue if you bought a 6-bedroom property and just simply furnished it. Now, if you said, hey, you know what? I want to get up a little bit higher. I think I could get up higher. Well, if you were to professionally design it and have some key amenities, like the typical things like a pool, a hot tub, some of these other kind of key amenities that are more normal things, you could generate an extra like 50 grand in revenue. But check this out. If you put in the small touches and really focus on the avatar and the story that you're trying to create this very delightful, amazing experience for them, look at the number you can hit at the top 10%, which is $100,000 per year difference compared to the average. And so this is why this conversation is so powerful and extremely powerful, is because this could mean an extra $100,000 per year in your pocket or more, because some of these properties are even making like $400,000. I mean, this could be multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on how big your property is, in your pocket if you simply study these strategies, take the quiz, and really try to implement this, because it's a huge opportunity, but you just have to take the time to do it. So I'm going to stop there and let's dive into some Q&A.
Yeah. And you can take that quiz and it leads you to essentially like a complimentary discovery call with me. The reason why I actually ask anyone if they're going to do a discovery call is to actually take this quiz, because it brings so much more information into the room, not just for me, for you, right? And to kind of, not everyone gets to sit down for an entire webinar with me, right? Where you can hear all of this. So that's the purpose of that. So hope it'll be helpful.
Awesome. Well, first comment here, Creative Leader Ventures, no small potatoes when it comes to story. So it's true. No small potatoes when it comes to that. So thank you. Let's see here. Emily is saying, if you give someone on a budget of 1 to 2 specific things to add to their property to create an experience like this, what would you say?
Gosh, I mean, budget's always such a hard question. Because it just kind of depends. What's the escalation of the experience, right? So there are different escalations of the same concepts you could do, right? Let's talk about, like, for example, that doggy guest book. Okay, that for a budget with a doggy guest book, all somebody's doing is writing in it. Okay, that's $10. But okay, if you want to offer a Polaroid camera, which we do, for guests to actually take a picture of the puppy, the doggy, and then that picture, that Polaroid, goes in the guest book with that review, right? Or not a review, but their guest message. Okay, that's another probably $50 a month or something like that, because of the refills and all, depending on how many like bookings you're going to get. So, you know, the cost of the concept goes up with the escalation. Now, if we went even beyond that, you know, and now it was that the dog, right, the guest writes through the eyes of their own dog into this guest book. They take the picture. Well, now also, as a thank you, you know, the guest is going to, or sorry, the host is going to send later on down the road, you know, a little doggy care package to this family, you know, that stayed. And they're going to bring them back to what they wrote in the book. And, you know, now it's not just that they have their own photo, but now it's framed for them or whatever. I mean, so, you know, that's probably another, what, like $50 or something to be able to pull that off every time, right? So when it comes to how much each of these small touches can cost, it kind of depends on just what is the escalation. So, I mean, that's just like one example. I could say the same thing for what you do with a cocktail bar. You know, are you building out the recipes? So, like, for example, there's that SodaStream Wellness Bar we've designed. You know, we've provided the element, we've provided the recipes that go with it. Well, now what if it's actually that we want to put in another way to create another drink, you know, build it out like a slushy machine, right? Well, that's another $350. But I mean, slushies in the Florida heat, I'm like, no brainer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So see, like the element can be, you know, whipped into the slushy as well. So it's a matter of escalation. So sometimes that question can be hard to answer, just because it's like, well, how big?
Yeah.
You know, but every escalation has a higher, the higher the escalation, the more of an emotional response you're going to get. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, and I'll say, you know, back to one of those properties where you showed like the baby kit.
Yeah.
I mean, those are very cheap things,
Yeah.
but it's just bringing those things to life. Honestly, I think that's something that I'm going to test out a lot more in my
Yeah.
properties, because it's kind of a no-brainer.
Mhm.
And plus, I've noticed a lot of the people that book my properties are
Mhm.
women.
Mhm.
And I heard a stat that a lot, I mean, men for sure book properties too, and have kids.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of women out there, especially women with children, that are booking
Yeah.
these properties. And if you can at
Mhm.
least show that, that's probably one of the easiest ROI things you could implement anywhere, is just
Right.
showcasing that. So that's
Right.
that's
Right.
probably a really good idea for all of us to
And even
consider.
that was an escalation too. We could have just done the family kit, but like I said, we built out a whole corner that was just for moms, right? To actually sit and nurse. And so what we did was we took the closet and we repurposed the closet, and now it's decorated. So that was like $1,000 investment at the end of the day, but it's this whole other design component now, a part of the kit, you know?
Yeah, totally agree. Okay, so another question: what percentage of guests come back to stay again within a reasonable time period, like 6 to 18 months? And how much can hosts bank on their loyalty programs?
Hmm. I think that this is kind of a science question. You know, I think it depends on how built out your loyalty program. I like that you're calling it a loyalty program, because isn't that what airlines do? Isn't that what credit cards do? Right.
Hmm.
I mean, I think it really depends on how invested you are in building that loyalty. But I will say, what I have found is that guests who are going to rebook, they do it instantly. They do it during their stay, or they've shared it with somebody instantly. We just had a guest who stayed in our cabin, and she said, we love the stay so much. The kitchen is our favorite part. And one of the girls in my group, her birthday's in October. She's already like booked for October. And so she did, she actually booked. So I think that often, like when this is actually happening, it's in the moment. And that's why I said rewards given in the moment, where your guest or your traveler is already in a positive state, that is when they are most effective. So if you want them to rebook, and that is like that is where you're going to drive, your efforts, you want them to rebook, then what can you be doing from a rewards from the giver, right? Strategies to drive that rebooking literally during this day. I mean, that's what I find the most. That's when the rebookings happen. Because when they leave, again, unless you are engaged with them every week, it can be hard to really maintain that relationship and bring them back. But it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. I just think the higher percentage of rebookings happen during this day. I hope that helps.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, we only have just a few minutes left until we need to wrap up, until we're at the top of the hour. But a question for you, I mean, all of this seems like, yes, we need to do this.
Mhm.
Like the data is even showing and screaming, "Hey, you need to do this." But again, when I first started buying short-term rentals, it's kind of overwhelming, and it just seems like a lot. Where hey, I can go buy a property, but I don't know how to design this stuff. I don't know how to market this stuff. And so, if they want to work with you as the expert to do it, because I don't know how to market, I need to work with you.
Mhm.
What does that look like to engage with you on a particular property, and like
Mhm.
where do your services start and where do they stop? And like, what does that look like?
It never stops, Matt. It never stops.
Give us that intel.
Yes. So yeah, our process, it really does begin with the branding of and the telling, literally the writing of your story. And so these branding guides that we do, it's the very beginning of our work. We don't jump into any design. We don't pick a single color until we have done this brand storytelling work. And so we build a brand story guide with you. That's the very start of the work. And those branding guides are literally anywhere from 30 to 40 pages, just depending on how intricate your property is, how many rooms, how many special additional spaces. It's like a second living room, a pool, whatever, a pickleball court, right? Because all of those spaces now have like an entire world of experience in it, right? So we're really mapping out what those guest touch points are, even in the brand story guide. Okay, that now becomes our North Star. It's our blueprint. You wouldn't build a house without a blueprint. So if you don't have a blueprint for your guest experience, then how are you going to decide what your design and styling is? What are those amenities and those interactive experiences? How are you going to tell this in your media content creation, your listing photography, influencers you go with, all of that? So that's just the first chapter. We get on site to actually begin that work because we are true proponents of and believers of being on site to fully understand what it feels like there, whether your house has been built yet or not. Without knowing honestly what it feels like for the breeze to come through the house, where the light lands, there's so much information that's missing without that. This is just our model. So we're kind of a hybrid model. We do remote and on-site work. So we come on site, we build this branding guide, and then we get to work with design with you and in procurement, literally room by room design, layout, and everything. Installation. There are different, varied levels of engagement that you can take with us. We can do a bookended approach to design where we're building a shopping guide, you're installing, and then we're coming in to sort of zhuzh and clean up before we get into your actual photography session. So design and amenities are together. You can't have one without the other. You can't create those mini experiences that I've been talking about. Can't have those without design, and you can't have design without those small and impactful touch points and experiences. So that's all being designed in one bucket, right? In one place. We get on site again with you with our photographer, videographer teams, and we are your creative director. We're making sure that every story point, the themes, the story is actually now being communicated on screen, right? So we're styling, we're food styling, we're changing, small details in the room to make it land just right on screen. And that's kind of where you could say our work sort of ends, but we are not on the end of, we don't manage or co-host, we don't launch your listing, but we do support you with logo design, how your property is going to translate in your website, your booking website, direct booking website, and all of that. So we're a full
Awesome.
service creative studio.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I'll just
Yeah.
tell everyone, because we get a lot of people that are like, I'm ready to buy my next STR and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And what I would suggest, and what this is what I tell our customers too, is, hey, before you go buy your next STR,
Mhm.
think about the one that you already have, or the properties you already have now. Because
Mhm.
just like I showed you with the data earlier, there's $100,000 per year opportunity if you just optimized it.
Yep.
And so be thinking about that with your current properties, if you have current ones, to think about, hey, should I hire the olive jar to maybe
Mhm.
just optimize these properties, to
Mhm.
squeeze every bit of juice out of these properties here, because there could be way more opportunity. And the
Yeah.
ROI in just reinvesting in your existing property is usually way more than investing in a brand new
Mhm.
property. And
Yep.
so my suggestion as we wrap up is try to really optimize the properties that you already have. That's what I'm currently doing
Mhm.
before you go take that next
Mhm.
investment. And by the way, the tax benefits when you do it will be dollar for dollar,
Mhm.
if you do it right per the tax code,
Mhm.
on
Mhm.
massive tax write-offs as you do it. So not only do you get
Mhm.
these great experiences, awesome design, more revenue, but you also get the awesome tax advantages at the
Yeah.
same time. So it's
That's
it's a
great.
win-win, and it's a
That's
no-brainer.
so wise. It's so wise. And that just comes out to, it's literally quality over quantity. If you are not performing at quality with one property, don't expect for a new property to suddenly bring you the performance with the same level of quality, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, we do step in even if your property has already been beautifully designed. We've worked on properties with designers in our industry that we admire and respect. So it's like we can come in at any stage of your process. Just like Matt's saying, like when you're ready to level up and you're ready for more of those customized personal touches, that's, we come in and we would just say, hey, we're just jumping in with amenities,
Yeah.
and then more media content creation to tell that story, right? So
Yeah. So I'll
yeah,
wrap us up with this final comment.
yeah.
We've been hearing since 2021, 2022 with the normalization, I guess, now of Airbnbs and hosting all this, that Airbnb's dead, all this stuff. Well, it is quote unquote dead for the average properties out there because it's hard to make money when you're average, but it is alive
Hmm.
and well when it comes to those that are actually providing these incredible experiences. And those that are doing it are reaping the rewards of it. So don't be an average property. Go juice it up to that top 25, top 10%, and reap the rewards of it. And you will be
Yeah.
very, very happy and thankful you did. So go talk to Don with the olive jar. I think you'll be
Yeah.
very, very happy you did. And
Thank
any
you.
final comments before we wrap up, Don?
Final comments. I love that you had Jamie from Postaway here recently. Was that just last month? I
Yes, she's
watched her
amazing.
session, right? So I'm actually speaking at her upcoming summit. It's going to be, surprise, surprise, very interactive. So I'm hosting a workshop where you will actually pen the story of your stay through the 15 beats of your guest's hero's journey. So it's going to be a creative writing workshop that I'm hosting there, all tying into everything we talked about today, but now like really getting down to the brass tacks and doing that workshop work. So there's a discount code I just dropped in there for you if you want to get yourself signed up for that. The Postaway Hospitality Summit, the Olive Jar 15 is my discount code that she is letting me hand out to my closest. So thank you
Awesome. Well,
guys.
I'm going to try to be
Yeah.
there as well.
Yeah.
Amanda and
He's
I
so
are
great.
trying to get up there. And so everyone go check out the Postaway
Hmm.
Hospitality Summit.
Hmm.
I'm going to try to be there as well. And it should be a
Great.
great time. So Don, thank you for joining
Awesome.
us. Thank you for
Thank
everyone else that
you.
joined us. And we will see y'all on the next
All
webinar.
right. Okay. Have a great day, everyone.
Talk soon.
Bye.